How many of you guys don't know how to solder? Let me teach you to solder. It's not that hard. It's not a big deal. Using Walmart stuff. Come on, I'll show you. Things you're gonna need for this are your cheap iron from Walmart, your cheap solder from Walmart, that's very important, your cheap solder from Walmart, pair of needle nose pliers, an elastic band, hobby knife, pair of scissors, and you're gonna, for protection, you're gonna want either some electric tape or some shrink tube and a lighter to shrink tube. And obviously you're gonna need your wire for your bus wire or whatever wire it is that you're gonna be soldering. This is just the way I do it. I'm not saying this is the way you should do it. I don't want you burning down your mom's basement or anything like that. So just because you see it on YouTube don't mean you need to do it yourself, but this is how I do it. Just hang it from the handles on the cabinet. I've been soldering for many years, and I think that's the safest way of doing it. You don't knock it over or anything like that. It just hangs there, it gets hot. I don't know, that's just the way I do it. This is how I get this hot enough to get this done. I just want to mention too real quick, I mentioned that you want the cheap solder from Walmart as well, or your big box store. The reason is because if you try to use, say, the good silver solder you have or whatever, this cheap iron is not going to heat that solder up. So you're going to want to get the stuff that they sell right with that. And you don't need any flux for this, because this is like, it has flux inside of it. It's like flux core. So just figured I'd mention that. And we're not going to need any jig or anything for this kind of soldering. This is just to get you going. I'm not going to teach you how to be a master solderer here in one lesson, but this will get you soldering. So instead of a jig, you take your pliers and you just put a rubber band on it. Voila, now you have something to hold your wire. So that gives you this to hold your wire, this hand to work with, this one for your iron, or this one for your solder. It just gives you that third hand. While we're waiting on this iron to heat up, we can go ahead and maybe prep a wire so I can show you how to get started here. So I want to carefully cut into that, guys. No fancy wire strippers over here. This is old school. I'm the kind of guy that likes to make something out of nothing. I'm not going to buy all this fancy stuff to get things done. Right. Here we go. So we're going to simulate that this is the beginning of the bus wire, and you can plug this in right into your power station. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what's called tinning. I'm going to tin these wires up real quick with this piece of junk iron to show you guys that it is possible. Crap stuff. And dude, this junk stuff is going to be a million times better than any fancy little screw together, any kind of clamp together electrical device. All that is a point of failure. If you solder it, you'll never have to worry about it again. Iron seems to be getting warm. Not exactly sure, but mess with it and find out. One thing I forgot to mention, the things you're going to need is you're going to need your old lady sponge out of the kitchen. Why your old lady sponge? Well, because I know you don't have one, and I don't care about her problems. But all right, anyway. So you got your cheap iron and you got your cheap solder. What you need to do when you get your cheap iron, and I'll simulate it right now by cleaning it, and that's what the sponge is for. You get it wet and you can clean your iron with this. Okay? But anyway, what you want to do when you get your iron from the store, you kind of want to like break it in, season it. You're going to want to get used to it. Dude, anybody can do this. Can you hold your hand this steady? Look at me shake. Can you hold it that steady? Then you can solder. But what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to start just getting it to melt and find that hot spot. All right, we found the hot spot. This is your spot. That's where it's always going to be hot for doing like big wires. For small wires, it's going to be a different part on the tip. You're not going to want to use this for small wires. But you can see right here, this is going to be our hot spot. Just practice melting it. Don't breathe in the smoke. Get your safety glasses on. This shit's blowing everywhere, dude. So anyway, that's your hot spot. Now that you figured out where your hot spot is on your iron, and if you have, the only reason why you have to find a hot spot is because you're using a cheap iron. Other than that, those your better, higher powered irons aren't going to be a problem. But now that you got your hot spot, you can see right there, just tap a little bit of stuff on there, right? Get it behind the wire, let it start heating up, and touch the solder to the front of the wire. You're gonna see it melt. I ended up actually touching the top a little bit to get it flowing. And once you get it flowing, it'll melt right into the wire, and boom, there it is. It's tinned. I'm gonna repeat the process. Put a little bit on your soldering iron. I mean, look at me, shaking like a leaf, dude. I got nerve damage in my right hand. I used to be an airbrush. I used to airbrush RC bodies. Now I can't really do it because of nerve damage, so I'm shaking like a leaf and I'm getting this done. Granted, these are big wires. But anyways, I get some on this solder in here, kind of let it build up into a ball. I set it right down there. And then I just start feeding it right into the wire. It's so hot, it just melts. Boom, she's tinned. Okay, so that's one scenario where you're going to want to tin up your wires. Every time you go to solder something together, you're going to want to tin these wires, and then whatever you're going to solder to it, you're going to want to tin as well. And then it's just simply melting them together, and they just hook together. But what I'll do in the next thing is I'll simulate where I actually cut into the thing, into the wire, and I'll simulate like we have like drop downs coming to it, so you can kind of see how that's done. Got my bus wire and drop down simulation setup. I'm going to tin these up on the bus wire, and then I'll tin the drop down wires on these and hook it together and show you how I do that. So same deal as before. With this one, I don't really need anything to hold it. It's kind of up, you know what I mean? So like I'm just gonna get a little bit, find that hot spot. So melt around, try to find it on there. There it is. It seems to be right about here. Rotate that iron around till I get it, and just start tinning it up. And you can see how to do that in close up, and switch this out. Here's our little makeshift jig. Try to zoom in a little bit for you so you can see what I got going on this one. I am not used to doing tutorial videos, but I figured there's a lot of you that don't know how to solder. I read it all the time online, like, oh, how do I get around this? How do I get around that? It's like, dude, it is so easy to solder. I mean, if you can hold your hand steady, you can solder. All right, so the bus wire is tinned. So now let's just simulate like we're tinning the drop down wires coming down from your track to your foam or whatever. Get it flowing. Stop shaking. Like every problem I could have, I'm gonna have. Get it on there. Get it flowing. Shake very nervously, because you know, like 2 people are watching you online. I believe it's nice and tinned. Looks it to me. Alright. I like to take the center of the wire and have it in between the 2 areas where I tinned, so here and here. So I want to make sure that I have the center of the wire located in between those, and then I'll just curl each wire right up to it. So you're going to want to get a little bit on the tip, just like any other time, because you need to have the solder on there to help spread the heat and get the flow. So I might do it backwards because of the way. And that's it. I mean, that's a solid joint right there, guys. That is a solid joint. You know what we're gonna do? We're just gonna wrap some tape right on that right now. I know you guys have some electrical tape hanging around, so just bust that right out. Don't try to be fancy. Just get it done. Just get it on there. Maybe it's my ADD that does this, but I don't care. I gotta get the job done. This is what's gonna get it done. No shrink tube on this one. Okay. So same routine. This guy's already tinned up. This guy's already tinned up. And we're gonna want the wire to the center of the two holes, and we're gonna curve them just like that. The reason why I do this is just because if there's any problems, these two wires are not gonna touch each other. There's plenty of insulation in between them. Nobody's gonna burn the house down. I mean, honestly, having something soldered together is so much more safer anyway. I'm right-handed, so I should be able to do this side this way. Get that stuff on there. Get some on there to get it flowing. Like I said, you gotta have it on there to spread the heat. And get everything flowing. Yeah, I'm right-handed, so this should work out good. I don't know if you guys are gonna see this good, but I'm here. I'm gonna just melt it right together. You just lay the heat right on there. Just lay it on there and watch the two metals flow together like Terminator 2. And that's it, dude. Hold it together as best as you can for like just a couple seconds. You got a solid joint right there, kid. And I am telling you, dude, you'll never have to worry about this. I'm just happy to get it done. Maybe teach a couple people how to solder. I don't know. Maybe not. Either way, I got a video for this week, right? So there it is, man. Here's your drop down wires. Here's your bus wire. And you should be able to drop down anywhere you want and just go ahead and get under there and make sure you put something on the rug, put something on your legs, something, towel, anything, and get down underneath there and just get it soldered together. And dude, you will never have to worry about this joint ever again. It just, you solder and it's done. Just forget about it and move on to something else. You're gonna have plenty of other points of failure. Why have every one of these be a point of failure too? That's all I'm saying.